Hi everyone, Erin Spencer here, candidate for state rep here in Derry, bringing you another video with an important issue for Derry residents, property taxes. So Derry property taxes, much like property taxes throughout our state, are just too high. I decided after talking about this the other day that I was going to run some numbers. So I decided to compare taxes for the town I grew up in with Derry. So I grew up in Wakefield, Massachusetts. For those of you that aren't familiar, it's a suburb of Boston. It's about 10 to 15 miles north of Boston. It was a little more on the working class side when I was growing up, but now there's been a lot of newer developments and the become a much more expensive place to live, I guess I'll say. And I've never complained about that because it meant that I moved to Derry, and I've been very happy with that decision. But anyway, here are the stats that I came up with. So what I found was that the median home value in Derry is about $200,000. The median home value in Wakefield, Massachusetts is about $530,000. So we're talking a fairly big difference in median home value price. So here's where it's going to get frustrating. Take a deep breath. Using Derry, so looking at the town websites, I was able to find their most current published tax rates. And so for that $200,000 home in Derry, the tax would be right around $5,300. So if you use Derry's tax rate to figure out a tax for that median home value in Wakefield, Mass, their tax bill should be about $13,800. However, the actual bill in Wakefield, with Wakefield's tax rate, would be about $6,700. So that's a tax difference of just over $1,400 for the property value difference of $330,000. Why? Because Wakefield's tax rate is $12.77, while Derry's tax rate is $26.12. It's a huge difference. So why is it like this? So having a lot of family in Massachusetts and moving up here, I've heard all the arguments. It's because Massachusetts has sales taxes and income taxes and whatever taxes. And you know what? That probably is partly true. However, it hides the real issue that we need to be addressing here in New Hampshire. The state's not sending money to the communities in the way that they are supposed to be, that has been agreed upon and decided long ago. So 40% of the rooms and meals taxes that are collected in the state by the state are supposed to be going back to communities. Since that inception of that, it has declined over time, and the amount has fallen to about 21% that's actually sent back. That's half of what we should be getting. Just fixing that would make a huge difference. But there's more. In the 1970s, it was agreed that the state would pay 35% of the employers, in this instance, the town's share, for pensions for teachers, police, firefighters. In 2013, the state stopped making any contributions to those pensions. So that meant that Derry had to make up the difference. So these are actually only two of many more ways in which the state is not sending the money to support the towns that they should be, but it clearly illustrates there's a problem. So we need to get back to the agreements that we had so that towns like Derry can stop having to put the burden of making up the differences on their citizens. My husband, when we were talking about this, asked me a really good question, and a question that should be the first follow-up. Well, if that money is going to all start coming from the state down to the towns, how is the state going to maintain their budgets or their revenue expectations? Great question. We don't want the state to go bankrupt because they had to send that. And I'm going to openly admit that I don't have all the answers on all the possibilities of ways we can do that. But the one that comes to mind first and foremost is closing corporate tax loopholes. Just by ensuring that those doing business in our state are paying their fair share of their taxes means that we can start to ease the burden on our Derry residents and other members of our communities in New Hampshire. So if you'd like to read up a little more on this, you can check out the resources section on my website, erinspencer.org. I hope to see you at the polls in November and hopefully voting for me so I can get to Concord and fix this problem. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.